So, good evening to all. We have a session today from Best Capstone Project awardee, that is Dhareshil and Shilpa. So they have already completed the BDM capstone. Yeah, so it's recording now. Yeah. So basically, they have completed the BDM capstone project, and after a lot of effort, they pin up the target for getting the BDM capstone project. So one by one, maybe first Dhareshil or Shilpa, whoever is fine. So they can just start the presentation. So we can have a presentation for nearly 20 to 30 minutes or so, right? So you can just focus main points so that the students will come to know, or your friends will come to know about what exactly your project is all about, and from there they'll get idea. Okay, these are the things basically they have to focus in the capsule project. So you have to share your experience more in the session, because those who are new to the capsule project, or those who are little bit scared of the project, they'll get a confidence. Okay, this is not a very hi-fi or very complicated process or a project. They'll get an idea from there. So it will be helpful for them to find a path on which they have to follow and then complete the project. Right. So maybe I'll over to you, so you can start the session. So Dharishil or Shilpa, and after the session we can have a questions and answer where we can just find it out, like how the project journey, how you are proceeding with the journey, how you have proceeded with the journey, and what are the difficulties you face in the journey. And in case if somebody is having the questions, maybe we can just address the questions of some of the students, and then we can wind up the session. Okay, so over to you. Maybe any one of you can start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would love to.
yeah. That's
Hello, everyone. Myself, Dhaireshil Patil. Uh, I completed my BE in computer engineering this year from Pune, and I'm currently just pursuing this degree. Apart from, I'm also involved in an internship. So, starting about this project, my the initial motivation was not that high, but the initial phase of this project wants us to coordinate and talk with different stakeholders. So as we know that we need to join, we need to ask different businesses for this opportunity to analyze their business and see if we can help them through our project. So I started from the basics, like going talking to those hotels which I go every day, and I started that from Pune itself. I talked to different 2 3 hotels here. And one interesting case that I would like to uh, present is about a shop who just sold one product, and the product is, if you know, the Puneri misal. And the most important, we started talking with him, and then we tell him what we are about to know from his business. And the owner himself was a businessman. He had an MBA. So after having some discussions, he told us that, the thing which you are trying to do, I'm already doing that. And we were taken aback by the response. So we had a brief conversation with him. So the business model of his hotel was that he has just one product, but he has optimized this his cost so efficiently that no one else can provide the same product at the same cost. And just understand that his product was that he was selling the product misal pav, and people can eat as much as they like just for the price of around 100 rupees. So this is quite unimaginable in today's world to do that, and especially in a hotel at such location. So at that point, I understand that what kind of power this optimization has, and then it intrigued my interest into this subject. So definitely, as he was doing the same thing which I was going to do, so he rejected my proposal, and then I move on to the next one. There were a bit of rejections, but I didn't budge. So I found a business who actually needs some optimization. So I contacted this distribution business at Prajwal Steel and Tibak Agency. And as you can see, I kind of got to know that what kind of power this efficiency and optimization can bring to the business. So I just named that project by that motto: enhancing operational efficiency and cost savings through process optimization at Prajwal Steel. So essentially, this agency is kind of a distributed for TNB polymers, which is a just a minute. I will share my screen. Yeah, is it visible? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, it's visible. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
put a presentation mode.
Just a minute. Should I stop presenting? I think it will work fine, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
screen visible?
yeah.
Yeah,
Now it is fine.
Yes, it's
Perfect.
visible.
yeah. So I just named the project on that theme, that enhancing operational efficiency and cost saving through process optimization. So essentially, this Prajwal Steel and Tibak Agency is just distributed for main business. So the TNB Polymers is a company who deals with plastic polymers. So they get polymer material from petroleum companies, and then they cast these different polymers which are required for agriculture. So mainly, as you can see through pictures, these are pipes, accessories which are used for agriculture drip irrigation. So as I said, they are authorized B2B distributor, and they manage inventory and maintain supply chain. So as you know, in the distribution business, companies essentially do that to avoid inventory costs and maintain an efficiency in the supply chain, so that their product is near to the market, and it also saves their cost also. So currently, they hold third position in the market share for these products: drip irrigation, sprinkler, and PVC. So this area, Kameri in Maharashtra, is kind of an agricultural dominated area. So main industry here is agriculture. So these products are very important to that local economy. So currently, they operates at 3,000 square feet warehouse in the town, and they are expecting to expand that to a bigger plot of 7,000 square feet, and they're expecting to grow their turnover from 55 lakhs to crore. And as you can see, as I will tell, there were 64 different items they managed and sold. So these are some images you can see. He is the owner, Prakash More, and yeah. So the main challenges he faces is that there is issue with credit system. Most of the times, customers come with demand for a subsidy from the government. So initially, they are asked to procure from the distributor or seller with credit, and these are some issues, and he's supposed to provide that, and the price instability. So as polymers are derived from petrochemical products, there is variability in price, and logistic issues, because as you can see, there is not constant demand. So sometimes the demand is not adequate for to get a truck, and that would be too efficient, and sometimes the order will be quite low, so it doesn't make sense to hire a big vehicle for it. So it becomes also a logistics issue too. And as these are products that are related to agriculture industry, so seasonality will be there, and as you can, supply shortages are always there because similar the industry is such, and there are demand unpredictability too, due to seasonality, and most of the demand unpredictably comes from available schemes from the government. And there are inventory optimization challenges. Like he has just 3,000 square feet of plot, so sometimes it becomes overwhelming for him to maintain the inventory, and sometimes the customer just don't have enough order, so that the seller can generate some profit from the dealer. So these are the main challenges. And then we pondered over this data to see if what we can be help to him. The data kind of data we had was sales transaction. These were like this was a situation where he knew that he had a data, but he didn't know what he can do with the data. And when I reached him, it was like he was expecting someone to do that. He had some people who were doing his who were working on his taxations and all that, but there was no one helping improve his optimization, or at least analyze what is happening, what is which stock is more, which stock is less. Simple things too. So it was kind of it was there it was kind of a need for him to have such person with him to do this kind of job at least once, so he can understand if there is really a need uh, for uh, for the optimization, and for the actually understanding the data. So it was kind of help to him. And I had all the locations of the dealers to whom he sold or further distributed the products. Similarly, dealer information, and then inventory levels of all products. This is nominal, and then stock receipts, sold over time, and then monthly aggregated sales data. So we kind of started from our usual data processes, like exploratory data analysis, volume analysis, sales analysis. In volume analysis, we understood what kind of volume each product take. In sales analysis, we then took a different side and understood what kind of revenue the products are generating. In trend analysis, we try to gauge what kind of pattern we could see in the sales over the years. In credit analysis, if we see there was a bit of risk with some creditors, and in stock analysis, we understood how much stock was left and how much was sold and the frequency of that. In geographical analysis, this is the most important thing for a distributor, to have his location uh, equally accessible to all his dealers. So this was an analysis, and we did some predictive analysis using previous data, tried some Sarima modeling. So yeah, so we started with the credit he provided, because as per his knowledge, credit was the biggest issue with him. And sometimes he had to go above and beyond uh, to to give credit, to help keep those customers or the dealers, because there is quite a bit of competition. So sometimes you have to go over the way and see if you can try to just keep the customer, keep the dealer, so that your business flows as it do. So most of that credit he wants to was his own subsidiary, Prajwal Hardware Company, where he sold to local market, and others was around the same area only, some Islampur and all that. Uh, we analyzed all the credits and the risk it came with, and here we analyzed how much each revenue each dealer was providing. So as you can see, even though Dafrapur is in the second position, they don't owe much money. So, and then we did a volume analysis. So the main thing here is that as there were 64 categories, so it was very hard to gauge everything around all that 64. So first we divided all those categories in those four categories, like joiner accessories, filter accessories, valve accessories, and LLDP pipes, all those pipes. and we here understood what kind of volumes they provide. And here, as I said, we did the sales analysis, like how much sales for each category. So as you can see, the most is coming from LDP pipes. So here here we did the stock analysis. In the yellow is the sold stock, and in the blue we have received stock. So most of the times, as you can see, there was quite a bit variability in the received stock, but not much variability in the sold stock. So so this suggests us that there was a lot of inventory in the warehouse. And we did we implied Sarima model for revenue and prediction to forecast and see what he could expect the revenue in the next 12 months. As we had data from the 2022 to 2023, we used all the data we had at our disposal to see if we can have some forecast. And similarly for different categories, we did it for revenue, and now we are doing it for sales per category. So these are some forecasts, and this is a main thing we we engaged as an objective, that his primary location is currently at Islampur, let's see here, but his dealers are situated all above north. So this is not an optimal location for a dealer, sorry, a distributor. So this is what we conveyed him. Now, as he's trying to expand, so we proved a point that if we try to get some land around these locations, like in Karara or some Umras, it will be equally cheap and equally efficient also. Uh, the key findings were that we asked him to that the base stock orders on the sales predictions, and increase stock order during as high demand months, and then stop procuring those negligible selling products. So in that data, there are quite a products which didn't sell at all, but they were in the inventory. So we asked him to stop the procuring those products at all, and it was pointed out that actually it was a customer mismatch. They were like the customers were forced by the government regulations to purchase some category of products which they did not expect. So it was went up delay, went up products. Sorry, left in the inventory, and we asked if he's not feasible, or if it is not feasible to change the location of the delivery center, then we suggested in that if he could try with his some sales team and expand his dealer network southwards. Uh, and if not, then we could have definitely relocate the distribution center. And we also to manage the credits and to improve the relationship with the dealers, we asked if we could introduce incentives for purchasing diverse products, so that all the inventory becomes more utilized. And as I said, some of the main dealers were not in the credit terms. So we asked him if he could provide credit to them, then it would increase sales with respect to that. And here were some key findings from the data, like LLDP pipes leads the revenue, and valve accessories leads the volume, and there was excess inventory accumulation. Uh, there was sales spike in quarter one and variability across quarters, as it happens in agriculture industry. When the season there is season of sowing and all that, the sales spike. People gather the equipments from all the sources they could get, and there was skewed product sales. There was, as I said, there was a concentration of dealers in the north, and as I said, there was limited credit offering for only some dealers, and some dealers didn't have it all at all. And there was gaps between receipts and sales. That actually explains his credit issues. So that's all from my side.
Yeah, so thanks, Darashil. It was nice. The study you have done is so. How many? This is your second project, or this is as you told, like previously, you have taken some other project and it was not
No,
go
no,
through.
no. We were just discussing with him to get him on board for this project. But he was
No,
already
previously I think previously you have taken some project related to education industry, right? The first one it was rejected.
no. This was my
Oh,
first.
okay,
No.
okay, okay. Fine. So maybe we can just complete the second session from Silpa, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
have some. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Uh, I shall share my screen. Please tell if it's up. I hope it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So before I start explaining on the project, um, like what Sir said right now, when I started off the project, I was very scared. Like I tried to watch most of the previous recordings of the or the live instructor sessions, and most of the students were saying that it's very difficult to get the data. And Ashwin sir was repeatedly saying that you have to keep on asking them question after question. You have to ask what, why, when, how, all those questions were needed. So hearing all that, I was actually very scared. And for my part, this shop where I focused on for this project is actually the fourth or fifth business I talked to. So going through this peril of going speaking to different shop owners, whether they are willing to share the data. Most of them were willing to share the data. That was not the problem, but many of them did not have a either they would say that we don't need any help, or they would say that we don't have a more credible data that we can give you. It's all written records, and and they were not sure whether we can do anything with it. So they were not willing enough to explain more. That was what. So, but with the little talks that I had with each of this, I do not know whether it is with luck or anything. All the shops that I talked to were quite in different sectors. One was a normal stationery shop. Other was a gas cylinder manufacturing that was related to iron and steels. The next one was a supermarket, and then I talked to a medical shop, and then this it was this one. So this is a paint business. So all were in so different sectors, and all of these thoughts or talks and infos I gained from these different shops somehow merged into this project in helping to analyze different problems or sectors that came from on discussing with the owner of the shop. So one thing that I would say to all those who are doing the project this term is, even if the first shopkeeper did not have a credible enough data or a discussion point, whatever you got from there, hold on to it, because it will probably help you when you actually get the shop to work on. So that is the and so as a motivation, I would say that because it's a paint shop where it deals with inventory, vast amount of inventory and paint business, it's very expensive to the inventory. So I understood that how much inventory management is important in this business, because a slight change or slight mismatch in inventory scales the profit level immensely. And if it's a medium scale business and not a big business, it vastly affects the shop owner. So that's the motivation or the spark that I got from this project. And moving on to what I did, it's titled Analyzing and Exploring the Possible Strategies for Inventory Management, Customer Retention, and Supplier Selection of an Industrial Paint Business. Due to non-disclosure reasons, I had to change the name of the shop. It's a industrial paint shop in the Palka district of Kerala. Industrial paint differs from the normal paint that we use on walls by They are used for the coating of automobiles and electrical equipments, maybe like refrigerators or motors. So when the shop began in 1997, and when it began, it was a B2B business where the main customers at that time were the major car showrooms at that time, like Maruti, Ford, Mahindra, Tata. But over the years, maybe around 8 years, 8 or 10 years ago, due to the customer demand for certain ancillary products that are related to paint, like paint and even cars, like car polish, car wash cloth, the emery for scrubbing of the paint, and car polish grease, all those things that are ancillary to the paint, it customers started asking on it, and it was found that these ancillary products, even though the shop owner was reluctant to start selling these ancillary products, it was found that these ancillary products are quite in demand among those customers who like to keep their automobiles or cars and all very neat and shiny and polished. So it was quite in demand. So now it's more or less a B2B and a B2C business, but there is a slight shift that's happening, which we'll discuss in later. And just before COVID, 1 or 2 years before COVID, this paint shop opened a secondary outlet. But for this project, we will be discussing only the parent outlet, and secondary outlet is not considered here. So that was about the business, a very brief idea about the business. Now let's look at what the problem statements are. Even though I have given the heading as problem statements, I wouldn't say that all of them are problem statements. The first one, yes, it could be thought of as problem statement, but 2 and 3 are scopes of improvement or strategies for betterment. So I'll quickly let you glance to the problem statements, and after which we'll discuss the motivation and the roadmap and the results in the later slides. So first, we'll be identifying certain setbacks in the inventory management and how it has impacted the revenue. The motivation is discussed later, so an idea of how it led to this one will be observed from there. And second one, it was, as I said before, it started as a B2B business, but over the years, due to certain changes in the policies or the legal laws or the contracts between the car showrooms and the shop owner, it was found that being in business more with these car showrooms was not as profitable as it was when the shop began in 97. And keeping in with that increased demand for that ancillary products, now the shopkeeper likes to reduce its interaction with the B2B businesses and focus more towards the retail customers. So there's a need to identify the profitable customers. And when it began in 97, in a town that was not much developed at that time, this was the sole industrial paint shop. So it was having a very flourishing run. But maybe around a couple of years ago, 2 more shops have popped up. So it has to hold on to the customers that they had from the previous time. So the shop is looking for strategies that can help maintain the customer loyalty too. And lastly, this data or is collected after the COVID, and the shopkeeper was saying that post-COVID there has been an increase in the inventory, and certain inventories are brought from other states, so the cost of purchase of inventory is has changed for some of them, or it could be how these because COVID has affected some of the suppliers, and the level of discounts they used to give have reduced, or they have started in putting some additional charges. So the shop owner wanted to look at what are the best suppliers or best cost advantages supply chain. So these are the 3 statements that we will be considering. And before I move on to the motivation and the roadmap, I'll give a quick overview of the data. As I said before, it's not a big shop that had proper computerized software dealing with all the data. So data was basically collected from the bills, that is the purchase and the sales bill. This was available in the system. And like all bills, purchase and sales bills had the unit quantity, GST, total amount, all were similar like the normal bills. But how these two differed were the purchase had the name, purchase bill wise bill had the names of the supplier, and the purchase item wise bill had the items or the inventory that were purchased from the supplier. Similarly, sales, as the name suggests, or you could have guessed, that the sales bill wise had the names of the customer, and the sales item wise bill had the inventories that were sold to the customers. And this data was from the past financial year, that is 2022 to March 2023. So with these four sets of bill is what the entire study was built on. And another set of data that was available was the initial opening stock, but that was not proven to be useful because there were a lot of empty slots there, so that was not taken in. So this was the um, data collected, and let's move on to the motivation roadmap. So, addressing the first statement first, when talking to the owner, Mr. Sajid, he was saying that yes, businesses are happening, people are coming in to buy things, but when you compare the level of profits, I wouldn't say that we are making a lot of profits. So, business is looking slightly dull in that aspect. So, it is that quote that I held on to and tried to dig in deeper to study the project. Why was the profit still low when the owner said that every inventory is sold at a markup of around 20%? So definitely the profit should be there. But why is this happening? Like always, as we build in a ledger to compare the monthly purchase cost and the sales cost per unit, and it was found that certain inventory had, not all, but certain inventory had a very low sales cost as compared to the purchase cost and sales cost at par, yes, we can understand. But despite the markup, and sometimes markup of even 20 to 25 or even 30% were put in, despite all that, the sales cost or sales price were very low than the purchase cost for certain inventory. So that was the motivation to look deeper. And moving on to the second one, as I said before, the shop is looking for ways to reprioritize its customer space. That is, it want to move to the retail part. So the most classic and the most commonly used technique for defining strategies to put into the customer for customer segmentation is the RFM analysis and the K-means clustering. So we have used both these techniques to segment the customer so that we will be able to devise strategies for each segments, because developing strategy for each individual customer is not possible. So this is the most effective strategy that can be used. So RFM and K-means were used for identifying the profitable customers or segmenting customers, then putting in strategies, and lastly for the identifying the suppliers that had give us a cost advantage. We have tried to score we score the suppliers using the key performing indicator based metric, and with these metric based scores we could identify which were the suppliers who does not have good scores, or which are the indicators that are they are not scoring well on. So identifying these indicators, then we could put in strategies or discuss points for discussion. What are the things that have to be discussed with these suppliers so that it can be advantageous to us. So this is the motivation and the roadmap that was followed. Now let's look at the results and the info gained. First one was the inventory management problem. So this is the comparison that I said about when we compared the sales revenue, the actual sales revenue, and the estimated sales revenue with the markup. And for the sake of sanity, I had put in a markup of around 15% too. But nevertheless, it's seen that there's almost a 20 to 25 percent difference in this actual sales revenue and the estimated revenue with the markup. And when you look in the scales of crores, this is in the difference is almost coming up to lakhs, nearly 30-40 lakh difference is coming in. So this is even for a medium scale business, that's a huge amount. So discussing why is this happening. So what we did is we tried to compare why for certain inventory there's a lower sales price than the purchase cost. I took up a Pareto of the top sellers in volume, by volume, the top selling by volume, and because there was a lot of inventory, only the top selling 20% were taken, and we compared the purchase quantity and the purchase sales of these top 20%. And in an ideal case, we would want the purchase and the sales quantity to match, like the red and the yellow line should match. Look at the right side, yes, that's fine, they're matching, that's perfectly normal. But coming to the left side, that is where the purchase quantity and the sales are higher, that side we can see that there's a huge gap between the purchase quantity and the sales quantity. And when we talk about inventory like paint and paint tins, it is something that are prone to the effects of time. So when these bulk purchases, irrespective of the demand is put in, these inventory remains in shelf for a lot of time, and paints they lose their effectiveness, or that durability affects their effectiveness, due to which it led to inventory aging. And inventory aging, when they mix the paints before, uh, one word, not like the wall paints that we get in tubs that we can directly paint. Industrial paint is not obtained in a tub. We have to mix different tints together to build that color. So when an old inventory is mixed, they understand that this is not mixing well, so they couldn't sell it at a actual price. So they had to lower the price, and this definitely led to a decrease in the profits. And this is not for every inventory, but when you look at the entire scale of things, there were quite a many of it. Only top 20% is shown here. And now, if you would have noticed that circled data points or circled inventories there, uh, I wouldn't say that this circled inventories or this part of the analysis would help in increasing the profits, but it's rather towards how it can affect or help the manual effort in counting the number of inventories that are left in the warehouse. So if you can see here, these yellow is the sales. So some of the inventories, the sales quantity is much more higher than the patches. That is quite an anomaly. And it was, and when you compare the entire set of inventory, there were quite a number of them. So why was this happening in the data that was stored? So this was looked in further, and this had to be discussed further with the people who work and count the inventory in the warehouse. And it was observed that comparisons showed that this happens for the inventory that were sold in loose. So if I give an example, say that this paint shop bought a bucket of thinner, a 4 liter bucket of thinner, and that is entered in the data or the software as one quantity only, even though there are 4 liters. So a customer buys 2 liters, means the sales is for 2 liters, but the quantity purchased was 1 liter. Now the remaining goes to -1, even though there are still 2 more liters left. So that mismatch was quite a lot when you take the sum for the entire 12-month period. So this wouldn't impact the revenue, but when placing orders for the inventory, the people in the staff had to count the inventory and then get a manual count and then put in an order for place. So this was a bit tedious task, but this small mismatch or small point, if it could be addressed, can help the staff to address that issue of manual counting vastly. That is addressed in the results part, not results, the recommendations part. We look at it later. So that was about the inventory and inventory management. Now moving on to the customer segmentation part. So we use recency, frequency, and monetary scores. Recency values being lower, the better. That is, recency coming recently to the shop is good, means so lower recency value is better, means lower recency value got a higher scores. So out of 4, these recency, frequency, and monetary scores were combined, and count of customers with the respective scores were put in. But looking at this bar graph doesn't give a much an idea. It just says that, okay, 61 of, okay, I didn't say this, that we have not considered those customers that have only visited the shop once. So frequency is taken more than 2. So all customers that visited only once have been excluded. So 61 of them are top scorers. Well, very good, but we can't be very overzealous about it, because if you look at the bottom half, like 6, 4, and 5, vast number of them have a very low RFM score. So this does not give a very credible enough idea of the RFM analysis. So instead of adding the RF and M scores out of 12, we concatenated it. Like the values of the RFM scores were concatenated like this, and this helped us create 6 categories for the customers. Like if you look at the platinum customers, they had high R, F, and M values. That is, 3 is the first index is R, second index is frequency, and the third index is monetary. Loyalists too, they might not have a very good monetary or recency value, but they have good frequency value. And newbies are the ones who have very might not have good frequency and monetary, but they have good recency values. Needs attention. They had good frequency, good monetary value, but the recency value have gone down. Somehow these customers have become dormant. Budgetary ones, it's quite easy from the name. They don't like to buy expensive stuffs. And gone customers are the ones they haven't visited the shop in a lot of while, so they probably the chance of them coming back to the shop is very very low. So from this concatenated, we are able to get a better understanding of what kind of customers are there, and then a bar graph was plotted, and this gave a better idea. Like if you can, if you take the platinum and the loyalist, around 38 to 40% comes in there, so that's well and good. And the gone part around comes up to around 15%, and the in the middle part, like that part is the one that we're not sure whether they will stay or they will go. So again, to broadly classify these customers and to develop strategies and to understand how the recency and frequency score varies, to visualize it, we did a k-means clustering, and the k-means clustering graphs are seen here. To explain it very quickly, the purple one, the cluster 0, have good recency, frequency, and monetary score. So they are the purple ones. And look at the green ones. They don't. They have comparatively high recency values, which is not good. They have low monetary scores, even not good, and even the frequency values are not so good. So that is what the green cluster is. That is cluster 1. They are probably the gone customers. And look at the pink ones. Those are the ones that we have to put in most of our efforts to, because they could either shift to the purple side or to the green side, and we would rather want them to shift to the purple side. So based on this clustering, we put in that previous categories into the clusters. So the 0 cluster, the better cluster, had the platinum and the loyalist. The cluster 2 had the newbie, budgetary, and the needs attention one, and cluster 1 had the gone customers. Now moving on to the last one, that was the KPI scoring. As I said before, the data was available from these 4 builds, so not a lot of indicators could be defined. If for a more credible and balanced or more clear data, yes, a lot of indicators would have been developed. With the available data, 4 indicators were chosen. That is discounts, return on investments, lead time, and price volatility. Price volatility is measured as a standard deviation of the price in the time period, that is 12 months. Lead time and price volatility, lower is the lower the better, but discounts and ROI, we want it to be high. So based on that, for the suppliers, we plotted the bar graphs, and it's seen that, as I said before in the beginning, that after COVID, many suppliers have started reducing their discounts. So except for the first 1 or 2, the discounts are quite low. And for the ROI, 2 of them have negative ROI, but we can't say that it is because of the inventory given by a supplier, because it could be that it was the supplier was selling those inventory that was getting stocked up. And lead time, if you remove the first 2, it's more or less uniform. And for price volatility, most of them have tried to control their prices, except for the one in some ones, but that's a quite high price volatility too for the first 1 or 2. So a compilation or adding the KPI scores, we obtained the total scoring of the suppliers, and it seemed that most of the suppliers get a score of greater than around 55%. So that's well and good. But if you look at the towards the right side, not yeah, there are few suppliers that are not performing so well. So what could be done is, like, we got this idea. So these suppliers have a very low score. So effort could be put in to see on which indicator they are not performing well, and that points could be discussed on with the supplier. So this is the working and the analysis and the results. Now moving on to the recommendations. The inventory management, that problem of bulk ordering, it can be sorted out only or possibly with the forecasting technique that can, and this um, because also in Kerala the seasonality of the monsoons, it needs to be factored in. It's very important. So a time series forecast with these factors can help in um, getting a or giving a better purchase quantity. And for regarding that sales quantity being higher than the purchase one, this is a snapshot of the possible user interface that can be developed. If you look here, um, like yeah, this is like a 4-liter paint tub, and usually what they enter is just the number of quantity purchased at a 16 tubs. But if additional column or additional tab is put in where you can enter the actual quantity per tub, that is 4, then the net quantity gets added up. So rather than keeping it as just 16 tubs, the actual 64 liters gets added up. So that is quite beneficial when items like this are sold in loose, and it helps and this would immensely help in reducing that manual effort in counting the inventory. uh, Next one is for that customer retainment suggestion. So platinum and loyalist one, they are the advertisers, they are the brand ambassadors or the promoters of the shop. So they need constant. We need to make sure that all their demands are met. And for the next three, we need to focus on what kind of products they're looking for, or for the budgetary ones, low pricey variants should be there so that they will keep on coming back to the shop. Needs attention ones, if they come back to the shop, we need to see or know what were the factors that led to them being not recent lately. And one thing that I noticed while visiting the shop and seeing how the billing happening was, because it was in a small town, the salesperson or the person who was billing, they knew most of the customers by name. So if a customer that was not recent comes back to the shop, definitely effective communication can be put in to understand why they have been not recent. And the gone customers, the chances of them coming back to the shop are very less. So rather not put in spending a lot of resources there. And for the supply cost advantage and purchases, like those suppliers from whom we were ordering in bulk, we could discuss our broker discounts with them. Like when the freight charges that they add on to it, we could ask a discount on the freight charges. Or for the suppliers that show price volatility, um, we had it was from the part of the shop that they had to um, put an effort to order based on the predicted sales quantity, because the suppliers sometimes they could not, it might not be in their hand to control the price when that some, it could be sometimes due to the legal laws or changes in the taxes. So it's from the part of the shop that they had to put in a effort to understand what is the price volatile inventories, and it should be ordered with the predicted sales quantity. And for the inventory that gave, or those suppliers that had a less ROI values, we could either discuss with them whether there are any other variants available, or if they know that there are a variant that's moving well in certain other places, that could be put into the shop just to check on. So certain strategies by focusing on where the suppliers are lagging, this will be very helpful. So this is what the project was on. And the it at the ending of the project, the culmination of the project, a lot of things that we learned in BDM or BA or the MLT, it helped a lot in bringing all those theories that we learned in the theory courses in the project. So for that, I'm quite grateful, and thank you so much for this opportunity once again, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great project actually. So you have put a lot of effort, including a lot of advanced techniques like clustering, right? So these are the things you have put it in the project. It is quite impressive, and it is quite useful for the others to interpret. Like if they have a data, how they can just opt the type of techniques they want to use for analysis purpose. So, Mail, I'll ask some questions, basic questions, because we have already reviewed your project. So, technically, I won't be able to ask too much on that. Maybe I'll open the platform for the others. They'll ask the question. But some of the basic questions that is related to the project. So how you people are feeling the project is all about, right? So relating, correlating the concepts and just finding a data where you don't have any idea, like how you can just proceed it forward. So what are the things you find it out, like for Shilpa also, like if you have opted some of the advanced technique like clustering and all. So what are the things for Dharashil also? He has find it out like a lot of techniques, geographical analysis, demographical analysis. Like so, on the base of the data, when you are starting the project, you have the data itself, right? So at that point, how you find it out? Like okay, these are the things or these are the techniques you will apply in the project based on the data. So if you will explain to the student, then it will be more useful because initially they have a data, they don't know like how to process the data and what are the steps they have to take and what are the techniques they have to implement to just analyze the results and come up with some good suggestions or some good results, right? So maybe you can just share your thoughts. What are the processes you applied and what is best for the others, like on the basis of suggestion, right?
If I shall say,
Yeah, yeah.
for when I got the data, like they were very willing to give the data. So getting data was not a problem for the shop. But once I got the data, I think for the initial 3 weeks, I was just doing VLOOKUPs here and there and not knowing what to do. I could create a lot of Excel files with simply VLOOKUP and trying to aggregate different things together. So then later on, when I visited the shop again, one thing that from what Sir and Ashwin Sir had said from previous lectures was quite effective was keep on talking to them until you get what is actually wrong with the business because there'll be something that's wrong somewhere. So it is, I think, in the third meeting or something that he was actually able to articulate that okay, 20% markup is there because everyone wouldn't want to say that we are purchasing at this much amount and we are giving some of the inventory are sold at this much of markup. So uh, uh, after that was there again, as I said, or showed in the presentation, uh, why was the certain lag in that difference in that actual estimate and the actual estimated revenue and the actual revenue? Again, the discussion was needed. So after, it's like it took a lot of discussion efforts to understand what's to be done. So once the discussion was there, it was fairly once a problem statement and what is problem statement was paka clear means yes, it was much more easier to follow a path. Then for RFM analysis and the KPI based one, RFM. It was the task was to sort out the customers because many of the customers did not give full names. So I had to sit with the sales manager or the billing person and get which were the unique customers. That took a lot of time. And then we had studied in BDM course, I think so, because in one of the sessions in RFM was discussed very briefly. So that idea proved to be very useful. And I was doing MLT when I was doing this thing. So clustering again, RFM and clustering, it somehow went in together. And I had to read a lot of some in Google and do reading a lot of pages also were needed. A lot of information gathering was needed. So and another thing, like Ashwin sir said, like keep a book of records of what you have done. So that was also very useful. And uh, so it was basically a lot of information gathering and a lot of discussion, like a lot of discussion with the shop owner. Then only like we had something to actually put on paper and believe that okay, this is something strong enough that I can work on. So that was from my part.
On my end, it was mostly, as Shilpa pointed out, mostly conversations. Though initial the issues were credit issues. As this is B2B business, so profit was already ensured by by the parent company to the distributor. So the profit was not an issue, but the issue of credit, the handling times of those amounts was an issue. But actually he didn't also knew about the geography issue. I got to know about this when I started studying about the distribution business from different resources available online. So there I learned that for a distribution business, and also from our BDM course, that for a distribution geographical location kind of is very very important. And we also studied an example about the warehouses, right? So that was also. So I just started getting those locations, and I just mapped them, and it was simple, self-explanatory that what's happening, what's wrong there, and these are the areas of improvement. And other than that, I employed most of the techniques which were already in the BDM course. So the first 3 to 4 weeks, I just did all those Excel tasks, which can be done, segregating the data, seeing if there are inventory issues and all that. And others, I think we can try a lot of things. I tried actually 15, 16 things, and all those measures I just put in the report. And those which just didn't click up, I guess that was a experience for me.
So the other thing I want to ask, like the problem statement is a key point, right? So this is the basic requirement of the project. If you are not able to identify the problem statement properly, then there might be the chances you are not able to do the project. So, like how you are able to find out the problem statement is based on the discussion with the owners, or is based on the like on the data you will find it out. Okay, these are the gap points where you can just analyze the project, and so this might be the possible problem statement for your project. Yeah. So
Like I said, initially I was quite ambitious, maybe that I was thinking that, okay, with the data that I got very early, I could develop the problem statement by myself. And for 3 weeks, I wasted time by copying, pasting this and that. And then I understood that we have to discuss communication is the most important thing, because we do not know what's happening in the business unless we talk to them. So it was with all three of the problem statements were from discussions with the owner.
From my end, it was a bit of both. Some issues we discussed, some intuitions we got from directly from the owner himself, and some I did get from the data itself. So as I said, the data was pretty accurate from even his end, because of the taxation issues. Because the parent company regularly monitors his data, so he had to maintain that data. So data was not an issue, but he didn't expected that someone would see the from this perspective, the geographical and other things too. They just were using, as our profits are ensured for distributors. They really don't care about if there are insights or not. As that is the motivation for the distributors for coming in the business, the security. So that was the thing. Some issues were known, some issues are not known, and then we worked on it. So it was kind of bit of both. Yeah.
the other question is like you have completed the project. So did you follow up with the owners? Like are they just following your suggestions, or it's something like you made the report and it is on the desk itself? So how much they are following, and what exactly the benefits they are, because this is the outcome of your project, right? If they are following, even a single problem statement is successful, then it will be a cheer moment for you. So for you, like, have you followed up regarding this? So what are the takes from the owners, what they suggested, and what are their inputs like for the suggestions you have given?
I discussed that issue of that entering the data of that item sold and loose into the data interface. So the data interface is made by a software company. It doesn't happen every year, so it's just it happens twice a year, or that update happens. So they said that they'll probably discuss with that a very minor change, so that could be included there. So the owner also felt that, okay, this is one very small change. I think that would help the other staffs also very well to immensely save time too. And that customer segmentation, the billing person was quite interested to see that, okay, this okay, it's the customers, whenever that person who bills, that person now gets an idea, okay, this is the person who falls into this category, so maybe I try to give a little bit discount there. So that budgetary ones, or who like to spend very less, so like a ten rupee or 20 rupee discount is like a big amount for them. So then that was quite that's what the billing person said.
Correct.
Yeah, from my end, he actually purchased a plot already around same location. So after presenting him the conclusion that he's reconsidering his decision to move to that location as he's trying to expand. So he's discussing about it as because this thing will be pretty large to do for some business like him, because he will be purchasing the land. So I just also try to uh, have some chat with him that if he could rent out and see if that works with the company also, parent company also, because parent company try to force the distributors to be within that certain area. But if there are not enough dealers in that area, so it is not profitable for the distributor himself in terms of logistic perspective. So we are having a bit of chat with the company too, and let's see what happens. And apart from that credit perspective, uh, so around each month's balance, we get to know that the credit is duly paid. There is a bit of lag, which is mostly informal credit. So yeah, he's taking kind of assurances like in those informal markets, people do like taking blank checks and something to do that. So these are one things, and apart from that, he's taking those forecasting, understanding that he's pretty optimal about his business. So his plans about expansion seems to be on the track.
Yes. My side is how is the Josh after completing the project? So basically, it is a pinpoint for most of the students at the initial phase, but after completing it, so I want to ask how is the Josh?
Super high, super high.
Thanks, sir.
So might be in case in future if you are getting a project in which it's you have to handle the whole project on a single handed, right? So I hope you are in a situation you are able to do the project. If you are in a company, they are just assigning you some project that you have to do this, right? So you are not blind at the initial stage what I have to do right now. So at least you have an idea. Okay, if you will get a project, then might be you will be able to proceed with the project, and you can find some good analysis, and you can have a good findings from there, right? So I hope you are, but I'm not sure. I want to listen from your side.
Actually, I have a point around it, because if you see most of the big companies, MNC, right? So whenever they try to enter a different segment, they kind of do this kind of analysis for those kind of regions. So I will give an
Yeah.
example of Tata company, right? So before launching Tanishq, they actually did analysis of many jewelers by
Mhm.
contacting those salesperson, and then they launched their product, and then they beforehand they decided about that, about their pricing, about their differentiability in the market, all kind of things. So for a new businessman from a middle class, most of the times they end up failing because they don't know the market, and even if don't know the market, they don't know how to do the analysis. So this kind of thing actually is a kind of experience which I definitely share with my friends who are going to start their business, and that they should do this kind of analysis first, because just blindly going into business, as they say, 90% of them fail, but 10% of them who succeed, they know that there is a definite space, and in that definite space they know the categories, and it just not happens that something comes in the some in the night and tells them they have to analyze, and that's how the business starts. So this is kind of stepping point for us, if some of us wants to start a business, that first do the market analysis, see if there is a actual space in it, and actual profitability of those who are already doing it, and then we can have a good gauge of moving into it, and then planning financially. So before just starting, most of the time startups are started just by the idea, but idea is just not enough. There has to be some economic space, viability, and demand from the market to do that, and to gauge all kind of such kind of things. This BDM project provides a stepping stone.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I completely agree with what the Aishin said, and and how much important data and analysis. Like right now, I what came to my mind is that at IITM merchandise, like in data we trust. That is what came to my mind right now. Like how analysis is so crucial when we want to launch a business. Like in that program that we see, I think in Shark Tank or something, they ask like, what are the facts that you have that this business is going to work? They ask for numbers, and so this is exactly like analysis is something that needed. Like it's like the root, that initial that stepping stone or initial foundation that needs to be put in for a business to grow. So exactly, I resonate with what Dairishil said.
Actually, is a bit of a anomaly that people start business and then analyze. Then why not just analyze first and start business? So
Correct.
that is one thing which needs to be put out there, because that will
Yeah.
reduce the risk of failure. The most important thing. People just start their business out of just pure frustration of their jobs, or personal things, or the phobia of the business, or any
Yeah.
all kind of things people do. But if people do analysis first and then start a business, then that can have really good impact on the success.
Yeah.
No, it all depends
So
on the perspective to step out it.
maybe I'll open the platform for the audience. So that's all from my side. Maybe at last we can wind up the things. As of now, I'll open the platform for the audience. They can have questions. They can ask you. They can just troubleshoot you for a time, and maybe you can just help them out. Okay, okay. So anybody is having question, you can raise your hand, and one by one, you can just ask a question to Silpa and Dharashik. Yeah, Bhushan.
First of all, thank you so much for having this session. Shilpa and Darshil, you guys have done really remarkable job uh, uh, doing this projects and sharing the ideas with us. The question is for Shilpa, and then I'll come to you as well, Darshil. So after implementing the RFM analysis, you wanted to go for the another like a technique which is a k-means clustering, right? So what was the thought process behind implementing that second process? Was it like you wanted to predict what type of customer would be in the future? If that RFM analysis would give some scores and then want to fit the clustering algorithm and show that uh, this uh, this RFM score might fit into this cluster. Was it that kind, or is it based on for the present working scenarios only?
Yeah, it's mostly towards what you were saying towards the end. That is, we got six categories, and it's not viable to remember like and always like this falls into this, this falls into this. It's more it's so when we take three clusters, it's more broadened. So rather than having a lot of categories, putting into small clusters or lesser number of segments helps in devising strategies better. And especially when when the shop does not have other analysts to keep on recommending suggestions, so a better idea would be to give a more a smaller segments to work with, or smaller segment of data or customers to work with. And I also wanted to visualize how the like RFM just gave a numerical value, so the visualization was not happening. I wanted to know uh, how it was moving, and when that middle part of that three segments that came in the middle, how were their values, like getting the score that they had, three score or four score, was not helping me understand um, that that whether my analysis of this RFM cluster was actually correct or not. So visualization also, like in when we do MLP and all, they say EDA or and visualization part is very important. So it further helped to strengthen that understanding. So that was one reason why I did the K-means after that.
Oh, okay. So this was for the present data only, is it?
I didn't get what you said.
That this was only for the visualizing the present data, not for the suggesting
Visualization.
this can be.
This is actually when I read some of this. It's like this. I got only like six segments. But if
Mhm.
you have a if you broaden and put in more segments, like 12 segments or something, it's not possible to devise strategy for every segment. Then clustering is more useful there rather than for 6 segments and defining strategies.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And Dharishil, about your thing, I wanted to understand the process of Arima that you had followed during the forecast for the next years, right? So I'm currently working on a similar sort of problem where uh, so the thing is, till this point, the customer, so not the customer, the owner of my business has some sort of seasonality into its production as well as the sales, right? But like looking for the futuristic scenarios, I am seeing that there is a jump, as in it's not a continuous function, but it's a jump considering the future sales that he has predicted based on his own like surveys and all. So in that case, does Arima help to predict the future sales forecast as well?
Look, we use Arima to we forecast definitely, but it's mostly used to understand if we should order or not. We should improve. We should order the inventory or not, or even if we want to order, then which month we should order. And mostly in Arima we take the 2 months, 2 years of data. So, in some of the cases, I just had 1.5 year, but I did what bit I can do. And if there is seasonality, then it helps the owner with how much inventory to order at what particular time. So that's the main thing he should have. Apart from that, the Sarima doesn't actually accurately provide uh, uh, the sales or analysis which are you are going to do in the volume or etc. But it helps to gauge what kind of demand we are expecting.
Okay. Yeah. And that helps. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyone else is there? Want to ask question? Yeah, Chitish.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks for this session. It was really helpful. And my question is basically after 2 months of struggle and all the things, meeting with the firms and all, I finally got my data and I have figured out my problem statements as well. But I'm getting stuck with analyzing the data. I am unable to process what things I will be doing on the data to get my desired outcomes. Sometimes I feel my data analysis is very basic or sort of that. How could I get better clarity on this thing?
So I would just recommend you that see what kind of business it is. If it is a B2C business, then as Shilpa has done, there has to be some customers. Then we could do some recommendations and clustering, all kind of things. And if there is inventory kind of entity, then we can just pick some components of the business, see if there is any variability in it, and see if you could manage that. For example, business, what is a simple business? It just purchase somewhere, sell somewhere. See, is there variability in purchase? See if there is variability in sales. Start from the basics, simple, and just then keep building on. It will boost up your confidence. Then understand the business, understand the case studies around the world, what they have done, what a successful business in that segment does. So this will give you kind of bit of idea. 10, 15 things people do. There are a lot of data analysis happens around business all over the world. This will give some idea, and some of them will click, which will become your key insights. That's all from my mind.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. So, any more questions? I hope no more questions are there.
Nothing, sir. Just to wrap up, thanks for the session. So
Yeah.
I have been a regular follower of this type of session. So trying to get some insights from them. So
Yeah.
that's all, sir.
It's,
And
it's good actually. So student will come to know how they are they have done the struggle, and after then how they come up, and they have just fixed the target, just click the target, right? So it will be good. So at last, I will ask another question. That is the last from my side, and we can wind up the session. So basically, what's your suggestions? Like there should be some suggestion for the students with respect to project, and there should be some suggestion with respect to the syllabus or the content. If in case if you are like after doing the project, you can find it out like these are the problems which projects are having, and it has to be in this format, or there should be some suggestions from your end. You can communicate to us so that it will be helpful for us to redesign some of the things, like if it is required from the student point of view, because it is quite difficult for us to understand if we are not getting any input from the student. So might be you can just suggest us like these are the things to be improved, or these things should be included in the project as well, right? So it will be useful as a student perspective. Yeah. So I'm happy to hear your suggestions, what things to be needed to modify the projects, or is required on the student's point of view you are looking for, right?
As I stressed out in the last chat that we are doing capstone project, right? And we are just voluntarily going to the business and talking to them. But if we come at broader level perspective, there are a lot of business popping up, but they don't have, as I said, the gauge of market demand. So if there is any possibility from IITM that we could get some group of people and start picking up each segment from the world around which is in trending, and see what kind of problems they can solve. And startups are already doing it, but what we will be doing is just we will be analyzing actual market space in it and what market expects and the data around it. So that is actually thing we could do as a capstone also. That's one thing I was, because this will also help students to understand that these are different things market needs, and these are different things happening in the market. Though some kinds of things may be trending, but they didn't have that traction in the market also. So this will bring us closer to the reality of the market, because most of the students from the IITM will have some higher positions in the corporate companies, right? And then they will have to do they will be sitting in this position where they will have broader view of the market. So first if we start that first time from our courses, then it would be a great insight. And as we circulate all those finding to other students, it will definitely be a bit of experience for each of us.
At this point, when discussing with the other my batchmates, the last term batchmates, they're also saying that if that in what the industry requires at that time, so various industries, if it could be addressed, or so it would be beneficial to understand to get, yes, this is in a we are in a real world space working on it, but to see from different sectors, it could be nice. That is.
Yeah, so basically, I'll answer your question. So we are dealing nearly more than 125 or 100 plus sectors in which students are approaching the businesses and then finding it out. So since this is an independent project, Capstone is itself is an independent project. Previously, we started a combined project for the students, like those who are interested to continue some of the analysis part. But after a few months, they lose. Even though we have arranged some of the startups for them, we have arranged a startup. We have communicated. So they are there. There was a group, and some students are allotted to the startups. But after a few months, it went well, and after then they lose the interest, and it will be difficult for them to continue. So the thing is that that is the point why we are not involving in any of the data point of view or any of the company collaboration, because in case if students are not feeling interested or if something happened, then everything will come on our head, right? So now we have started. They are our personal contacts, startups and all. So still they are asking what happened to that project. We motivated them, so we'll get a good insights. So they are asking what happened to that project. Like students are not responding. So it will be a quite embarrassing for us also, like at some point, a certain point of time, if they're asking again and again. So that's why we are not involving in any of the activities related to this. So it's basically your choice. You have to opt the business so that in the next step, students will not blame like you have only given me the data or you have only given me this organization contact. So that's why we are not interfering. We are it's basically on you so that you can have a flavor of being a IITian, right? So after completing the project. So it's not about the project only, it's about the diploma or degree, whatever you are doing. So at least you can have somewhat understanding. We do have exams here that is an open book and open resource, like even you can open the internet. So these things are creating when we are giving the examinations like this, then it will be it is really hard, but it will give a flavor. Okay, we are different from someone else, right? Because this is segment we are dealing and we have open books, and even though we are not solving we are not able to solve the problem. So difficulty level will just help you to understand, okay, how capable you are and what are the lacks, what are the things you have to learn more to brush up or to like make you stand in the market in terms of competitiveness, right? So this is all from my side. Maybe we can wind up the session. So thank you, Shilpa and Tharishil, for joining us and
Thank you,
sharing
sir.
your insights. It is very useful for the students, and they will also get motivated from your talks, right? So thanks a lot for joining, and be in touch. We are you have our email IDs and all. So in case if you're finding any difficulties or you want to be like in case in future you want to be an entrepreneur or something, you want the suggestions or you want to discuss, we are open to for the student queries. We are always very responsive. So you can contact at any point of time, right? So thanks a lot once again.
Sir, one
And
request, sir.
yeah,
Please continue to have these sessions, sir. Yeah, even though I mean, if you felt that the attendance is less, sir, please don't
yeah,
discontinue.
yeah, sure. We'll
Yeah.
try to continue the session.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sir. Thank you.
it's basically a recorded sessions, so might be useful for the students
Yeah, others.
because
I
we are
understand.
working on a different domain. So if you see the Shilpa domain is different, the Harishil domain is different. Previous sessions we have two students for their domains are different. So it might be useful for the students who are just in line with the domain. They can see the video and they can get idea. Okay, this type of domain I'm doing the project. What are the analysis? What are the type of analysis I can do? So we'll take care of these things and mostly we'll have a sessions in future. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Good night, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Good night. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Good
Bye.
night. Yeah. Bye.